Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today we are going to cover Surah Al-Fil, which we had started last week, just with the introduction, and then we ran out of time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل وجعلهم قصف مأكول. So the surah, which is Al-Fil, in the subject matter on this was that the ruler Abraha, who was in Yemen, assigned there by the Abyssinian and Roman Empire to rule over Yemen and that part of Arabia, wanted to and did build a large church to rival the Kaaba, and then was not able to um, instill any um, fear and change the hearts of the people so that they would turn towards Christianity. So instead, they planned that with 2,000 men, Abraha went to the Kaaba to destroy it. And this is where we left off. That at this point of the commentary, Hazrat Musamaud Razila Tala Anho says that, but to Abraha's great surprise, Abu Muttalib, who is the grandfather of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, who he met at that time when he arrived there, he was representing the Kaaba and the Arabs, that instead of beseeching that the Kaaba be spared, meaning that he became, afraid that please help, please spare us, only requested that his 200 camels, which Abraha's men had seized, be restored. After Abdul Muttalib, on being told by Abraha that he had not expected such a paltry request from him, poured out the anguish of his heart and expressed his firm faith in the invulnerability of the Kaaba in the words that I am the master of the camels and the Kaaba has a master who will protect it. The negotiations, however, broke down, and finding that they were too weak to offer effective resistance to Abraha, Abdul Muttalib advised his compatriots to repair to the surrounding hills. Before leaving the city, Abu Muttalib, holding the skirts of the Kaaba, prayed in the following words, full of extreme pathos. That is, just as a man protects his house and property from plunder, so do thou, O Lord, defend thine own house, and suffer not the cross to triumph over the Kaaba. Abraha's army had hardly moved when the divine scourge overtook them. A pestilential distemper, says Muir, had shown itself in the camp of Abraha. It broke out with deadly pustules and blains and was probably an aggravated form of smallpox. In confusion and dismay, the army commenced retreat. Abandoned by their guides, they perished among the valleys, and the flood swept multitudes into the sea. Scarcely any recovered who had once been smitten by it, and Abraha himself, a mass of malignant and putrid sores, died miserably on his return to Sana. It is to this incident particularly that the surah refers. The fact that the disease which destroyed Abraha's army was smallpox in a virtually epidemic form is supported by the great historian Ibn Ishaq. He quotes Aisha as saying that she saw two blind beggars in Mecca, and on inquiring who they were, she was told that they were the drivers of Abraha's elephant. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Au nom d'Allah, le gracieux, le miséricordieux. अल्लाह के नाम के साथ जो बे इंतहा रहम करने वाला बिन मांगे देने वाला और बार बार रहम करने वाला है. So the translation B is with en français au Urdu में साथ. Ism is in English name, nom en français, naam Urdu में. Allah is the same in every language, it's not translated. Ar-Rahman is the gracious, en français, le gracieux, Behad Rahim Rahim Wala. And Ar-Rahim is merciful, the misericordieux, Urdu mein bar bar Rahim karne wala. So here, this is another abstract which is taken from the commentary of Hazrat Muslim Maud in the beginning of the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Fatiha, about Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So this is another portion. He says that it has been asked why the word ism or name has been used before the word Allah in the verse Bismillah. This may be explained in a number of ways. Number one, in the Arabic language, the particle ba is used not only, be is used not only to signify connection or invoke help, but also in swearing. So if the word ism had been dropped, the phrase billah might have meant I swear by Allah. The introduction of ism or name removes this ambiguity. So this explains that it could be understood here that if we only if it was only billah and it didn't have bismillah, then the meaning could be that only could be taken that to translate it or understand it to be I swear by Allah. But here it is this is taken out, this doubt or this kind of or causation of some type of a misunderstanding of meaning, then the name ism is added. Then two, God being the source of all goodness, even the invoking of his names proves a blessing, says the Quran. Chapter 55, verse 79, Blessed be the name of thy Lord, the owner of majesty and honor. The Holy Prophet sometimes helped people by invoking the various names of God. Therefore, the word ism has been added in order to remind the faithful that to remember the names of God is to merit a blessing. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل. Thou hast thou not seen how thy Lord dealt with the people of the elephant? N'as-tu pas vu comment ton Seigneur s'est chargé du peuple de l'éléphant? क्या तू नहीं जानता कि तेरे रब ने हाथी वालों से क्या सलूक किया? So in the first part of this ayat, we have in the beginning and this has been in English is translated as has, and en français ah. And the next word is lam. This is not, nepa, and Urdu mein nahi. And the next word is tara. This is you see, you seen, in English, and in français tu vu, and Urdu mein tumne dekha. Kaifa is how, and kama en français, and Urdu में किया या कैसा. Fa'ala is dealt, and en français is chargé. Urdu में सलूक. And then the next part of this ayat is Rab, Rabbu or Rab. This is the Lord. The translation is Lord, one of the names of Allah. This which en français Seigneur, and Urdu mein Rab, the same. Ka is your, ton en français, and tera Urdu mein. Be is with, en français avec, Urdu mein saat. Ashab, ashabil fil. So ashab is the people or peuple or log. Al fil is of the elephant. The l'éléphant, Hati wale. So ashabil fil is the people of the elephant. Peuple de l'éléphant. And in the commentary, Hazrat Muslim Maud Anhu says that this verse refers to Abraha, who marched on Mecca with a large army in 570 AD, the year of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's birth. In order to destroy the Kaaba, the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's birth taking place in the year of Abraha's attack on the Kaaba, and the utter destruction of his army implied a divine hint that because the great prophet for whose sake the Kaaba had been built and who was to preach the last heavenly message from there was about to be born, it militated against God's eternal plan that it should suffer destruction at the hands of an arch infidel. Abraha had a number of elephants with him. They were destroyed by a plague or epidemic of the nature of smallpox, and their rotting bodies were eaten up by swarms of birds. For a detailed account of this, see the introduction. The expression Kaifa Fa'ala refers more to the dreadfulness of the scourge which destroyed Abraha's army than to the manner of their destruction. So in this ayat, the word or the word in Arabic kaifa fa'ala, which we had just we had just covered, which is how dealt Allah is telling see that how telling the people that how I dealt with them. See how I dealt with them, and this is to invoke an intensity of this. So, and it's also an account which is giving to the whole world that look, if you want to destroy the Kaaba, which is the caretaker is Allah, then see just as the people of Abraha were destroyed in such a way that see if you want to destroy the Kaaba, what will happen to you? Uh, أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. Did he not cause their plan to miscarry? Ne causa t-il pas l'échec de leur stratagème? क्या उसने उनकी तदबीर को रेगांव नहीं कर दिया? So here the word "a" is translated here as did. En français, fait, kia, Urdu में dam is not, n'est pas, or nahi, and yaj'al is he caused, il cause, Urdu में बनाया या कर दिया. Heda is plan in English, it's translated as plan in English, and en français, stratagème. In Urdu में tadbir. Hum is there, leur, Urdu में उनकी, fi is in, en, में, and tadlil is miscarry, so it wasn't meaning it wasn't able to be fulfilled. It miscarried. It fell apart. The plan was spoiled. Échec en français, and in Urdu में is re gaon, re gaon. Hazrat Muslim said that how Abraha was foiled, that is meaning his plans were destroyed or they unraveled, they did not succeed in his design, is written large on the pages of history. وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ. And he sent against them swarms of birds. Et il envoya contre eux des nuées d'oiseaux. और उन पर गोल दर गोल पर परिंदे नहीं भेजे. Here the word va, this we covered, the repetition word, is and in English, and et en français, in Urdu में or. Arsala is he sent. Il envoya, Urdu में उसने भेजे. Alay is against. Sometimes this is also upon. This can be pronounced as this can be translated as against or upon. En français, contre. Urdu में ऊपर. Him is them. Ou en français, and Urdu में उन पर. Tayran is birds or oiseau. Parinde Urdu में. Ababil is swarms. So when there's large body of the birds are coming in a huge huge large number all together. This is called swarms. And Urdu में गोल दर गोल. And here under the important words, Hazrat Muslim Maud who says that ababil, which is the swarms, the word is said to have no singular. According to some, its singular is abul, which means a separate or distinct portion of a number of birds, or horses, or a camel, or four camels following one another. Ababil signifies, according to some, a company in a state of dispersion, or dispersed companies following one another, or distinct or separate companies like camels. Tayran Ababil means birds in separate flocks, or baby, or birds. Baby is a word in English. It's not common word. This also means a large body of it can be animals or people or any or things. Or birds in companies from this or that quarter, or forming one another flock after flock. So it has a quite more in-depth meaning when we look into it. ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل, which ate their carrion, striking them against stones of clay. Qui dévorèrent leurs charrons en les frappant contre des pierres d'argile. वो वो उन पर कंकर मिले खुश मिट्टी के ढेलों से पथराव कर रहे थे. So in this commentary, the understanding, the italic words which it says which ate their carrion. I mean, their rotten carrion is their rotten meat, uh, their flesh, which is the rotting. The birds had been doing as well, eating their rotten flesh. This is implied in the meaning. Um, but if we just break down the words, the first is termi, we is in English is striking. Français is frappant. Urdu में फेंकना. Him is them. Les en français. Un per Urdu में be is with en français. And साथ Urdu में. Hijarat is stones, pierre en français, and patr Urdu में. Min is of, and de en français, and Urdu में say. Sijil, this is translated in English as of clay. En français, d'argile. Um, and Urdu में मिट्टी के. So here Hazrat Muslim Maud who says that these, which is here one of the meanings of the word "the" is also against, and he says that amongst a variety meanings, this particle is a synonym with ala, meaning over, upon, at, or against. And in Arab, poet says that how can he be a Rab, a Lord, upon whose head jackals make water, and how base he is. In the Quran, we have minhum man inta manhu bidinarin, that is of them is he that if thou give him charge over a dinar. So the word uh, the also can be having that understanding, uh, different understanding against or over with or upon. Uh, then Hazrat Muslim says that swarms of birds feasted themselves upon dead bodies of the invaders, striking the severed pieces against stones, as birds generally do when eating the small and severed pieces of the dead body of an animal. So this description, when we recite this, this is one of the prayers that are recited very regularly. It's very good to understand and think about this, that how this great army came, and they never thought that something like smallpox could overcome them, and the army of the Meccans didn't have to go out. They were destroyed completely by this pestilence, and they not only had to suffer dying there, but they also their bodies were torn up by birds, which is unbelievable to think that such small animals would be you know be eating them up after. It's quite a horrifying um, thing to think about, and this is but this is the sign of Allah